Don't swing by over that one, you just have to run.
Oh, well, that, if you'd done that, that'd been fine too, grab your hamburger and left, but that's fine.
Okay.
I believe it was a success.
Good turn.
A lot of happy people,
Good.
a lot of turnout, a lot of full bellies.
Good. Good.
We might try to do it next year too.
It's good to know, friend.
I think we ought to do it, just a good old prayer meeting.
Oh, God.
Prayer
Look at
meeting.
that.
Hence the Bible, how's that out
Got a
there?
hand on him like a house cat. I think so.
Strike it off.
He looks like he's been in a few fights.
How you been doing? Good. Yeah, good. Good seeing
It was a typical morning at the jail. I'm in Grand Central Station. I'm sitting in my office. Frank gets up to go to the bathroom. The committee staff's off. It's just crazy. The federal transport guy comes in, lays the block on the desk, he comes back. And Riley comes in with a ladder. He gets behind Frank's desk. I mean, there's 50 people in that small space. And it's just a typical morning. Then Frank walks back in and he's gun, inmate, gun, inmate. And everybody's like, God, man, it's Riley. And Brett said, you shot me, you shot me. Wait a second.
Oh, my God.
You shot him.
That's good.
He was a good guy. I was doing well. I was worried about coming back,
Thank goodness.
getting into the same.
Same people. Central Marine.
Frank went upstairs and said, Frank, Riley's a good worker. We need to put something on him so he can do fans. We can't do that here too. Riley's like, hey, I heard that.
I don't know.
I'm sure I was gonna say, they're importing plenty of it. Because we took the same.
Part that kind of store here on Main. That's where you used to be, you know. If you,
No, hadn't even been in there.
I hadn't been in there either. I thought, heck, it's only open about half a day. One, 2 or 3 days a week. So,
On the restaurant.
Are you going to do this one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen them.
The cheesecake place over here.
Oh, yeah.
They were open one day a week for 2 hours.
Because she said she would bake the whole week for that day.
Same thing as yesterday.
But I've never seen you.
Oh, wow.
Did you sneak in? Did you sneak in?
I wish I had a quieter voice.
She don't work 5 or 6.
Every Saturday, goes 5 miles. And then, like, yesterday, I was walking back, I got out and walked about a quarter mile, and it started raining, and walked back in the truck.
All this humanity, man. It's just crazy. Oh,
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a special called meeting for September 24th, 2024. Madam Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioners Craycraft.
Present.
Constantopoulos.
Present.
Lanton.
Here.
Davis.
Present.
Miller.
Here.
And Pasley's out.
Okay, I guess we can just start with questions. We're mainly here to discuss the finances of the county. Not in real good shape. And the second part of the meeting will be to look at a cash transfer. So, any questions?
Sure, sorry.
Yeah.
I think right now we are about 180,000 in the bank. I think and close to that. Numbers might have changed a little. We've got payroll coming up, which is once the payroll's met, and then that doesn't leave enough money. We're already late on a couple bills. So in order to meet the payroll and pay the bills that are due, because the payroll has to be funded by 4 o'clock Thursday, which, the next meeting is at 5:30, so that's the purpose of this, is to sit down with the treasurer, need about $30,000 today to get the payroll met and to get the bills paid.
Which is the cash transfer that you're needing.
Yes, that's the purpose of that transfer. The question is where to take the money from.
Where are we at on the revenue projections from the budget?
We're working on a couple things. Of course, one, we've got some big bills looming, and we still owe the city and things on the EMS, but right now, there was, I think this time last year in September, somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 600,000 came in. So far, this year, this month, only about, I think around 180 has come in. And I think that was because of a late payment from a large supplier on their occupational tax. So right now, last year, the first week of October, the county received about 84,000. The second week, about 300,000. So, and that was in October. There's not a large projection coming in for September as of yet. So actually, we've got to get through September, and I'm not so sure that October is going to be, it may be a more difficult month. I don't know if that's answering your question or not. The revenues don't look high. There's nothing unexpected happening.
So are the revenue projections, are they overstated? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think what I'm really saying is I'm not 100% sure of what was projected and what's actually. We don't know what's actually going to come in. I think you were looking for a concrete number, and we really don't have one. A lot of this money thing, just for example, is timing. We were a few days ago, we were looking into with the jail about the state inmate check. And, it's always a question, does it get here in time? And I think, have we received it yet? No. So as of today, we've not received it. We were told it's on its way. So if that check comes in, I don't believe that we would need the full 30,000, is that correct?
If it comes in, we wouldn't have to do the transfer today, but I didn't know if
you approve it, do we have to transfer it? Say this afternoon the check comes in, do I need to do that transfer?
And also, we've got the prepaid bills that are due, actually, one to Keiko is actually already late, but we need about $35,000 to pay the prepaid bills. So if you take the money's coming in versus what's in the bank, then that's where this number is coming from, is to try to get all this covered, because the prepaid bills are already, they're already due, and the checks have to be cut in order to get them paid on time.
How much are we expecting from the jail check?
Jail, $78,666.
So if they could pass it tonight, or maybe a little gap, we need to pay that $30,000 out of it, and then it'd be reimbursed when the check comes in, basically.
Well, and then this Thursday, we're gonna be back and having the same discussion that we're having today.
So, I know you've told us the last couple meetings, Judge, that all the POs are being reviewed, vetted and all that, but as you know, by statute, we've got 30 days of receipt of a bill to pay the bill.
Right.
So are we staggering how we pay these bills? Are we just approving them for payment, paying the bill as soon as it gets approved by the court? Are we holding the check? We're probably gonna need, you're gonna need to do that probably for at least the next 30 to 60 days until we start getting tax revenue in late October, early November. We're not gonna be able to pay these bills as soon as they come in, the court approves it.
That's right.
You're gonna have to hold bills. Are we doing that?
Yes, we are.
Master Davis, just to your point, I think that exposes you to some hazard, whereas if you just didn't generate the bill to begin with, there'd be no immediate obligation to pay it. So I'd suggest that examining where the last $35,000 went, to see if some of that could have been, not produced in the form of a bill that you then obligated to pay. So I agree with you, except I think it's one step removed from really what's the safest play for the court. It's just not generate that PO to begin with.
I mean, several of the big bills that's coming is, the Keiko loans, the workers' comp, the county insurance. Now, we have been making payments on those, and Keiko's okay with that as long as it's all paid in full by the end of December.
So we can hold those until
Right.
the property tax comes in.
Right. The one loan for the Keiko loans was actually due September the 20th.
So I guess the question we're asking is are we gonna transfer the $30,000 and where are we gonna get it from? Is that correct?
And that's the question. From what I see right now, there's only 3 locations, and that's the 2 ARPA accounts and the road department. But I would be very hesitant about trying to borrow any money from the road department.
I agree.
That money,
Legally, I don't think we can borrow from the road department.
Can't touch it.
can't do it. Okay, so that's out.
You signed a pledge in this room that you'd spend that money only on the construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of roads and right-of-ways. The statute restricts the use of those funds to that, and it's actually a misdemeanor to use it for any other reason, just to be sure.
Thank you.
So how much do we have remaining in the ARPA?
295 account, there's around 235,309. And in the actual ARPA account, I think the amount that is not, if you subtract out what has already been allocated, then I think it's down in that $300,000 to $400,000 range. Some of that ARPA money's already been allocated.
Does that include the allocation for the pond out there that we pledged 100,000 to? Is that taken out of that?
The NERB thing, is that what?
Not the NERV thing, but also the pond. We said if that went forward, we do 100,000.
That's the nerve.
That's the nerve.
What you call the nerve.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought the NERV was the thing at the
Van Meter.
thing we were fixing down.
That's the dehumidifier you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, I thought that was a name for it.
That's the deck.
That's different.
Dectron, there you go, good job.
Well,
Thank you.
change names.
Thank you.
It has new
New name.
trade name now.
Yeah, it was the deck.
Yeah, formerly known as.
The NERV.
Better known as. Well, Judge, on the discussion, since we're talking about county finances on the agenda before we get to the transfer order, and I know it's just like a broken record, but it does go to county finances and in particular revenue, but, I mean, are we gonna get anything done in the next month or so on this 911 ordinance? That's potentially, it sounded like potentially a good deal of revenue by just switching to, in this instance, electric bills, and seemed to be what the consensus was with the meters, excuse me.
Actually, I met yesterday with the city, the 911, EMS people to try to get their input here. And I've reached out to a lot of the county judges and the different people that's responsible. And the feeling I'm getting is some counties have put a fee on water meters. Some have put that on electric meters, and some on property taxes. The electric meters is probably will get you the largest pushback, utility companies. The question I have right now, I know I didn't bring that with me.
What do you mean by pushback?
Maybe trying to sue against it.
Well, I mean, I can tell you on my electric bill, KU, there's about 4 or 5 fees and taxes, and service charges from governmental entities on that. On my water bill, there's a school tax, and so, I mean, I don't know what
The one
other
question,
counties are doing it. I mean, there's gotta be some kind of a legal standing or authority to do it. I would suggest getting a template from a county that's put it on electric meters and get a template of their ordinance and start from there.
Madison County has already passed and implemented on their property, on the property taxes. And on the tax bills for this year, they're showing an amount of 0. And then next year, it kicks into effect. The one question, I thought I had the answer to it, but I know the state collects money on the cell phones. I think 70 cents or something a cell phone, and that is the they call it the CMRS fund. That comes in, and I think that's in the neighborhood. That comes directly to 911 to the city, and that's about 200 and some thousand plus a year. And then the landline fee, and that, I believe, and this is what I was just trying to get an answer this morning, is that money also collected by the state? And that's what I'm not 100% sure of. But as soon as we find, because the question is, and I think Madison County said that when they implemented the property taxes, the fee on the occupied dwellings, that
Occupied
structures. And that was all structures, any occupied structure, and I believe they said state, government, churches, any building that's occupied, that fee was put on there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they did away with the 911 fee. And that's where I'm a little iffy right now. If we don't collect that, then can we do away with it? And do you want to do away with it?
I'm perplexed at how we're still in this situation. I mean, ultimately, for the last 3 months, I think it's been a court consensus that the 911 fee that was placed on landlines, $3 fee, because landlines have started to go away with technology and everything else, is that there was a consensus by this body to move it over to the water meter or electric meter. And that's where we were, we've been on that front. So while we're looking at Madison County and putting it on property taxes, and while we're looking everywhere else around except what we originally said, this issue could have been resolved 2 months ago. And here we are again, back in the financial situation where money is tight, where we could have had this already implemented. And that's what we need to get at. For me personally, that's what I support. I don't support putting it on the property taxes. I support just taking that fee away from the landlines, since that's technology has changed, and moving that $3 fee over to the electric meter. And we just need to make that happen. I don't need presentations on all these different options. That's what the court is basically in open court multiple times said they're willing to move that over. So we just need to figure out how to make that happen and get the ordinance on the agenda for us to take a vote on. And if some don't support it, I respect that. But ultimately, we've got to have that revenue to pay for those sources. And because we've lost the landlines, we have to replace that.
Could we have a template from another county that's done electrical lines by Thursday?
I don't have one on the electric meters. Seems like everybody has gone to either the
Water meters or property taxes?
Now, it's actually a threefold. You know, you have the 911 fee, and then the 911 fee, from what as it stands right now, can only be used on anything inside the 911 building for dispatch. In other words, it can't be used for the communication towers. That is a whole other funding. And also, then we have the EMS funding part of it. Those are all three separate funding.
Yeah, but the 911 is, we're spending in excess of $450,000 a year, and we're only bringing in now with the landlines roughly about $150,000. This would offset that. If you bring it, it's going to bring it to roughly $450,000, so that's going to cut $450,000 out of our general fund. EMS is a completely separate issue, in my opinion.
But that's just a short-term solution. I mean, that's why, when I first brought it up, that's why I suggested in the short term, just move the $3 as opposed to going in, because you could cover all your costs with that fee.
I agree with you, Commissioner.
But the quickest way to do that was just keep the fee the same and move it from one entity to another. But there are other options, and there may be better ways. But when I first suggested this 3 months ago, seeing the financial straits that we were in, that was the quickest way of doing it. But the other side of the financial issue right now is spending. I mean, regardless of what's in the budget, there's still probably ways that spending has gotten out of control as well. Because I've looked at some of the bills, and some of them, you may be reviewing POs and only approving certain ones, but you know, there's still things that probably don't need to be bought that I've seen that, I won't say frivolous, but unnecessary in some instances. There could be some money savings as well. But
Could be delayed.
Could be delayed. But at any rate, and you know, if you have to do something more than once, that's fine. But the short term, that was the easy route for the short term. But I don't think that's the solution to what we do with 911 in the long term.
Right, but for now, I mean, we need to go ahead and get that in place and not delay this another 3 to 6 months. There's no reason for it, in my opinion. But I agree with you, Mr. Blaine. There may be some things in these bills, but ultimately, once the PO is approved through the judge's office, we have no choice but to pay the bill.
If we've heard that it's on the water bill but not on the electric bill or on the electric meters, Do we have a problem with it being on the water meter versus the electric? What would be 6 one, half a dozen of the other, since it's already templated out, or?
Pick up the phone and call Keiko. And Keiko will probably have templates for every option of it.
Or the E911 board in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
And if they have a.
You call those two entities, they've already got lined out, and it's just a matter of sending us the template, plugging Clark County in there.
Making a phone call.
Because, Judge, if we got, obviously this is an ordinance, so as you know, it's gonna take 2 readings. But I mean, if we could get something on the agenda, October, get this thing enacted, second meeting in October, first meeting in November. And I mean, by the end of this year, early next year, calendar year, I mean, we could start really seeing a difference in
So do you-
revenue.
So this court wants to pursue the electric meters only? Is that the consensus?
Well, that's been the,
I'd caution you not to go that far in this meeting where the public didn't have any notice that we were gonna be in here talking about how to raise tax. I mean,
So back to the original, so we're back on the finances, so I guess to get us out of the immediate situation is to see if there's some way that we can come up with $30,000 cash.
I don't have a problem with transfer from the ARPA fund, as long as it goes back in there when we get that 78,000 check that comes in from the jail. I know that's a Band-Aid, but if we need that to be transferred and we don't have it, we're waiting for that check to come in. I'm okay with that.
my personal opinion, I mean, the 30,000 needs to be paid, payroll bills to be paid. I mean, I'm against taking it from the ARPA funds. I mean, we've got we did this, last year because once it comes out of the ARPA funds, it ain't going back. Just like that $500,000 that we transferred over, from the rainy day fund, that 500,000 was going to be transferred back, and we were unable to transfer it back.
Is there another option?
Well, my option is, because I know that this will make the money go back, is we did not distribute the community funds, because there's no point in giving that money away until we have the money in hand to be able to do that.
Okay with that.
And that was 110,000, I think, because y'all were on the committee, 110,000. So there's no point in approving that at our next meeting. I know it's on the agenda for the disbursement of it, we just had to delay that until we got the tax revenue in, and just delay that payment, because we can't pay out to these organizations when we're struggling financially.
That money's already in and in a separate account.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That money's already in and in a separate account. We can't spend it either. Pretty much like the road fund money. We're bound by an agreement to spend it on certain things.
For government services.
No.
I mean, the betterment of the community, and the county's a better community. I know we argue about this all the
Yeah, I
time,
know.
Robert. I'm not gonna get into that with you, but that's just my opinion.
Is a short-term loan from Keiko a possibility?
Probably not, I'm sure it is, but probably not by Thursday. I mean, I can make the phone call if that's what you wish.
Is there a way, if we did take it out of the ARPA funds, is there a way to guarantee that it'd go back in? And not be like what Daniel said?
Another action by this body. Say that's true of any account that we transferred out of. Will it be the ARPA money, or the fiscal court fund, or the road fund? No matter, it takes an action to transfer it from one, it takes an action to transfer it back. So absent that action, it wouldn't happen, so. I'm down very seriously, if we borrowed it from ARPA, we're gonna pay it back. If you borrowed it from the fiscal court fund, it wouldn't be paid back either.
Well, it does take an action of the body. I agree with Master Blanton on that, but ultimately you can't get blood from a turnip if the money's not there.
So do we have any recommendations? Do we want to take a vote on the transfer?
I move that we approve the proposed transfer that's on the table.
And what account do we want to take it from?
What you've got right here.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Davis. Any further discussion?
Yeah, we need to have those account lines, don't have to have the transfer out of the fund.
If we're just doing a cash transfer, that's how I typed it
So it's
up.
not going, it's not following this budget, not following.
So transfer been vetted by, was it municipal? Remember we contracted with somebody to
Compass,
look at all that spending, and we should
Compass.
tell them that they
Compass.
approve. Yeah.
because I mean, this is coming out of the ARPA reimbursement fund in the 95 account, not the federal grant one, not the 07.
It's already been moved in section.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, we'll do a roll call.
Magistrate Craycraft,
Aye.
Constantopoulos,
No.
Blanton,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Judge,
Yes. Motion carries.
5-1.
Motion to adjourn.
Have motion for a second.
Second.
Any discussion? We are adjourned.
Let's take the rest of it. I'm sure Frank will.